Are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm so ready, man. So looking forward to it.
Alright, so we basically picked the most challenging set of circumstances we can find.
I'm so sorry.
I'm going to record this, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Just in case something interesting happens.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, this is like the heaviest traffic time.
Yep.
We're in Chinatown. You know, the sun's going down, so that also causes some problems. So let's see, let's give it a destination. Let's tell it
yeah, wherever.
let's just say, maybe take us, here. This is going to be really challenging.
Sure.
Or let's just have it drive straight for a little bit first, and then I'll give it a destination.
Amazing. You okay?
Yeah.
How's your day been?
Great.
Good. Thanks for taking the time to do this. I know you're probably quite busy.
Yeah, no, I love showing this to people, especially people from Europe.
Yeah.
We don't have this on their Teslas yet.
Oh, nowhere near.
So you can see it was like, you know, stopping for that pedestrian there.
Yeah.
Handling the traffic lights.
For sure.
So let's see.
So we're going to Colt Tower, is that right?
Coit Tower,
yeah.
right. Let's see.
Gotcha.
Alright.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can figure this out.
Let's see. Cool. Yeah, this is about as hard as it gets, right? I mean, there's pedestrians everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Tons of cars, not much space.
How's it doing with the... Okay, so got... It's picked up the truck.
Yeah.
Traffic lights. It does stop signs as well, right?
Mm. So you can see, you know, this car's blue, so it means I'm waiting for this car before I can move.
Oh, okay.
So it knows it's sort of stuck.
I remember when this visualization was just so much worse.
Yeah, it's gotten pretty damn advanced now.
Yeah, way clearer.
Alright, let me give it a little bit of gas.
Sure.
So you can do that sometimes to encourage it to go.
Encourage it, right. Gotcha.
Okay, so looks like we got a stop car here. Looks a little bit too tight for it.
Yeah, it's not confident. You might have to do it
Oh,
manually.
there we go.
Oh, it's going.
See how it's folding down the mirrors?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's chickening out.
It's chickening out. Maybe it thinks it's too close. It doesn't want to...
Yeah.
Maybe do it manually.
Let me do this
Yeah,
for it.
do it manually, yeah.
Let's see. There we go.
Yeah, that was pretty tight. We'll get there. Cool. Nice. I like the white.
Yeah.
Big fan of the white. I realised I wasn't actually sure which which colour exterior you had, so I was like looking at every single Tesla that went past. Is that
Yeah,
it?
there's a lot of them here.
Sure.
Okay, so
Yeah. Maybe it's worth doing manually until we get out of Chinatown.
well, let's see how it does. There's nobody behind us, so
Yeah, oh, good point.
if there's somebody behind us, we'll move for them. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
so yeah, there's just a lot of people in the street. There's like this guy standing in the crosswalk, and I think that's why doesn't want to go make this right turn.
Yeah. So overall, it's quite careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it may never make it through if we don't sort of give it a nudge.
Give it a nudge, sure.
This is interesting. I haven't seen it this active in a long time.
Yeah.
It's good things are returning back to normal.
Yeah. During COVID, was it just like ghost town?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of annoying when I was trying to test it, because I was trying to give it like some hard scenarios like that.
Yeah, it's too easy. I guess this is good training data. Yeah. No, I'm not sure when this is coming to Europe.
Yeah, hopefully this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the UK isn't in the EU anymore, so I'm imagining.
Yeah, it might make things a little easier.
It might make it easier. Why is it multicolored, the line?
Oh, it's just a setting I set.
Oh, nice.
It's like a little Easter egg.
Like Rainbow Road or something?
Yeah, exactly. So you can,
Yeah.
there's the thing here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Oh, yeah. Cool.
where is it? Rainbow Road.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So normally it's just blue, but you know.
Yeah. No, I like that. So, which model is this one?
This is the Model 3 Performance.
Sure. Cool. Long red lights.
Yeah, this is like pretty crazy area.
Okay, so it's actually picked up the guy on the bike. It's pretty good.
Okay, you're trying to make a left gently. Being cautious of the pedestrians.
Sure. The gas, yeah. Yeah, you're good, you're good. I guess when you're on like the freeway, it's just like you don't have to even think about it, right?
Yeah, I mean the freeway's easy.
Yeah,
That's been there for a long time.
sure. Did you have a Model S as well?
My dad has a Model S.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like somebody's car stopped.
Yeah, right, yeah. So we're going to have to pull in on the right?
Hmm.
So what do you think of the hackathon yesterday?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. We're hoping we're going to win, but didn't quite clinch it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it probably was the most interesting one, but
Yeah, we
they
thought
must
that too.
they must have just looked at, I don't know,
Yeah.
the commit or something like that, maybe.
That was the problem. The commit was actually pretty weak.
Yeah, maybe that could have put it in.
Yeah, I mean, we had a few people say that they thought that we were going to win, and we put it on Twitter last night, and a few people wanted some of the source code, so we open sourced it.
I mean, I think it's sort of the most promising idea, but also the hardest
Sure.
to get right.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay, so we're stuck again.
That's okay. We're in a very busy area.
It's not a good start for it.
That's okay. I don't expect it to be like perfect in situations like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was a really challenging scenario.
Yeah,
so
for sure. That's
let's
okay.
see if it can redeem itself.
Yeah, I'm confident it will.
All right, so now we're going up a pretty pedestrian-heavy street over here.
Uh-huh.
Let's see how it does with that. Cool.
Nice. I feel pretty natural.
Mhm. Yeah, once you're not surrounded by a swarm of people, it gets a little better.
Yeah, I'm more confident.
Very cautious.
Yeah.
Maybe overly cautious.
Yeah.
All
Let's got it.
All right, come on.
There you go.
Right now we got a person walking in the street here.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like maybe a drunk person, maybe a homeless person.
Yep, looks like it.
Yep. Car just avoided it.
Nice. well
Pretty
done.
naturally moved over a little.
Just like a human would.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that was good. I spoke too soon.
Saw that guy.
Oh, yeah.
And now see how it has in the visualization the open door.
Oh, yeah.
So it gave that guy some room.
It's got the stop sign. Nice.
That's important.
Yeah. we don't have that in the UK, so that's...
Oh, you don't have stop signs?
No, not at all.
Just have roundabouts instead?
Just
or-
roundabouts. Just roundabouts all the way, so you always just continue. There's no stopping. I mean, obviously... we
Yeah,
have,
that's
like,
completely different.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously have, like traffic lights
Mhm.
at the crossroads sometimes, but
Right.
but most of the time it's a roundabout where it can be.
Yeah, we have one roundabout here. Maybe we can go try that.
Yeah. I think I've seen videos of it handling roundabouts. Pretty
All right, so we got a pretty big equipment here. Oh my god. Holy shit. It's like sticking
Yeah.
out there and it moved out over a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the occupancy network.
Ah, right.
So it just sort of calculates which space is occupied and which is filled without really thinking about what the object is.
Right, okay.
So that's sort of a relatively new thing they added that improved the performance a lot.
Gotcha.
Because you have these sort of like object recognition tasks, but let's say something falls outside a recognized object, then, you know, how do you sort of handle that?
Yeah, for sure. It's got to be dynamic enough to handle anything in the environment.
So we got like pretty tight cars parked here, and it's sort of weaving through them.
Around. Yeah, look at it go.
Folding its mirrors
Folding
when it needs to.
Whoa.
Because it doesn't need them, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That's the point. That's a great point. Weaving around still. There you go. Nice. Put the mirrors out again.
Alright.
What's the longest you've taken it?
We drove it all the way across the country once.
No
from
way.
LA to Miami. I drive it from between LA and San Francisco all the time.
Yeah, I see that on Twitter quite a lot, yeah. Hey, it's pretty confident. Wow. That felt great.
Yeah, it can be pretty impressive at times.
Yeah.
Alright, let's see what it does about this.
It stopped, wow.
See how they waved?
Yeah, I love how they think.
They didn't realize that a computer was actually letting them cross. Because I never would have let them cross. I would have
Really?
gone.
Yeah. I wonder who they're thanking though. Are they thanking the Tesla engineers? Or
Yeah, I
us?
think so. They don't realize it.
No.
They were thanking a piece of software.
Yeah. It's a bit like yesterday when we clapped at GPT-3.
Exactly. And I thought it was funny that two people came up with a rap battle.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
The obvious thing is to pit them against each other, right?
Yeah. So he was stopping for those guys, thinking they might be entering the crosswalk.
All right. There you go.
So there's our first destination.
Not bad.
Let's try the roundabout. Take me to the Walt Disney Family Museum. So that's the cool thing I like about it, is you can just say, hey, take me here.
Yeah, I didn't know.
And it's running. It'll just take you there.
Yeah.
That's the future.
That's so cool.
Alright, let's see if we can make it around here.
Sure.
I think it should be able to. It usually does.
Wow, great view from up here.
Yeah. Cool view of the Bay Bridge on that side too. I'll point it out to you.
Yeah. We went over there today. It was pretty cool.
There it is. Alright.
Nice.
Yeah, see, there's the bridge.
Oh yeah, well. Loads of bridges around here.
Yep.
Back in London, our bridges are a lot short.
Yeah, that one's a few miles long.
Yeah.
Alright, here's the stop sign. That was a very challenging detection.
Yes.
You had sunlight occlusion.
Right.
And very suddenly appearing because of the curve.
Yeah.
And it still was able to detect it,
It's kind of obscured by the branch as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a very, very impressive vision system on this. And the radar's off, the ultrasonics are off, it's driving with just computer vision.
Computer vision, right. Does it have the hardware for it, but it just doesn't use it?
This one does actually have radar and ultrasonics on it, yeah.
Right.
But they just turned it off.
Yeah.
They're like, it's just noise. The vision system's so strong.
Sure.
Because, you know, they would get sort of a core set of points from the radar. It wasn't particularly high resolution, but they couldn't tell what it was, right? So depending on what something is, the control is very different. If it's a moving object, then you want to control for it very differently than if it's just sort of a pole or something.
Yeah.
Vision can differentiate among that stuff much better. Right. So we're moving along now.
Pretty smooth.
Yeah, Smoother than I could drive.
Coming to a stop before a junction like that is pretty alien to me. In the UK, it's mostly just sort of you go and you just keep going.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it adapts to UK driving.
Yeah. I wonder if they, I mean, you might know, do they train like different models for different countries where there's different like laws or even characteristics of drivers or behaviours?
I think it's sort of like a universal model for the whole world, but
Sure.
I think like sort of the planning and control is different.
Right.
So they'll sort of maybe pass in different parameters to it or something.
Gotcha.
To get it to behave in different ways.
Mm.
Because I mean, fundamentally, you've got a road, you've got other agents on the road.
Mm-hmm.
They may be, driving on the left side or the right side, so that could be maybe like a feature that you plug into the model or something like that, like right-hand drive or left-hand drive or something. But
Yeah.
fundamentally, it's the same, pedestrians, cars, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And I think they actually have data in the training set from all over the world.
Yeah. It is like a federated training set. I like that it went there before waiting for that car to like fully cross, because naturally you wouldn't.
Right.
That's good.
Someone else might go.
Yeah.
And you can see it's got the speed bump detection. It's slowing down slightly for the speed bumps.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Why did it stop here? I don't know.
Maybe the stop sign.
Oh, that's where it just thought the line was a little bit earlier than it was.
I guess as long as it has visibility of everything, then I guess it's okay.
Yeah, it's constantly scanning, so it'll stop if it missed something or something like that too.
Sure.
All right, now we got to go up this hill.
Oh wow, that's steep.
Yep. That's San Francisco just driving straight up.
Yeah. I was told it was going to be hilly. Didn't realise it was this hilly.
Yeah. It's a little bit ridiculous. It's like an MC Escher painting.
Yeah. Pretty odd choice to build a city on a hill. But...
Yeah. The city's kind of a mystery that it's still standing.
Yeah. I suppose more challenging roads provides a stronger data set for this guy.
Yeah, this is like the self-driving playground of the whole industry. You see so many different brands here. You're like, oh, perfect. We got everything here in a really small area. Like in China, I think they actually built like a course in Wuhan.
Oh, right.
Which it's like a fake city basically where people can come test their autonomous software.
No way.
We just have San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see it's checking to make sure that it's clear. Making sure that guy is going to stop. Stopping a little bit, being a little bit too hesitant.
Made it there without any interruption.
Yep. Could have been a little quicker to do that, but it's being cautious. And it's just sort of leaning on the side of caution, and you as the human can just press the accelerator. So when I show it to people, I try not to touch anything just to show them what it's doing.
Sure.
But usually when I'm using it, I'm like constantly I'm constantly giving input to it, and pushing the accelerator, changing the speed, doing that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I kind of want to see how it behaves completely naturally. I appreciate like you'd probably interrupt it here and there.
Right.
But I assume those interruptions over the years go down and down and down. Right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty crazy how long it's even been driving us in this crazy environment.
For sure. 100%.
Like the city's really fucking weird. Like, look at this shit. You're just like driving off a cliff, driving straight up. Okay. Alright, let's go.
Yeah, I was amazed at how many. Oh wow, that's a steep hill.
Yeah, and all the parked cars.
Yeah.
Okay, it didn't really need to stop there, but it thought that the road was a little narrow, maybe.
Sure. That's pretty good though. I think my dad would have done the same though.
It has awareness of the hills and that it needs to stop a little bit earlier.
Sure.
And then you can see this guy's blue because we're waiting for him.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
And then this guy's blue because we're waiting to see if he's going to stop.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't just assume anyone's going to stop, but actually make sure.
Mm.
Alright, hopefully we can make this light. Let's go, come on. Oh, this guy has to go, really. What the hell are you guys doing? Come on, give me a break. There we go.
Wow, even with the sun right in its eyes.
Yeah. Well, it has multiple cameras, so even if the lanes are sort of occluded from the front, it can still look in the back and say, okay, the lanes look pretty much like this.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how it behaves in Europe, because the benefit of obviously American cities is it's mostly blocks and mostly linear, left, like, north to south or east to west or whatever.
Right.
It is. In London, there is no structure. It is a massive spaghetti of roads.
Yeah, Europe's definitely going to be more challenging.
Yeah, Europe's harder for sure.
But they've started practicing, I think.
Yeah.
They've definitely been looking at it the whole time as they've been designing everything.
Yeah. I suppose there are some cities in America that look a bit European, right? Like on the East Coast. So
this is probably one of the more European ones.
Oh, really? Yeah, I suppose Manhattan's like really easy, right? Because it's just like a pure grid.
Well,
is it?
Manhattan's got to be probably the hardest place in the country.
Why is that?
Just because of all the people and stuff happening.
Sure.
It's like 8 million people running around,
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily related to the shape of the roads. Like, it can handle the shape of the roads fine.
Okay.
It can, it can handle roundabout stuff like that. It's really just like interactions with other agents and
right. Okay.
And knowing how to navigate around, that kind of thing. It's not really what you'd expect,
Sure.
Like the perception, I think they've kind of nailed, but it's like really the planning, the control, predicting other agents, those sort of like really weird, unexpected behaviors that you still need the human for.
Yeah.
And that's just what it takes a lot of time churning the data engine to figure out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes I forget that it's driving itself.
Yeah.
I just think like, wait, what's going on?
If you don't tell people, they don't notice.
Yeah.
And for driving like this, where it's just really slow, it's just a game changer.
Yeah, I guess.
Not having to do this really annoying stuff yourself.
Sure, yeah.
Looks like somebody's getting towed or something.
Oh my dicks. Does the quality of the FSD vary between different models? Like, is it?
No, it's pretty much the same
right.
for all models. It's the same vision system, same software.
Sure.
It's really just like, it's just the software. It's the hardware, the perception, the things that people sort of thought would be the issues, they actually seem to have done a pretty good job with.
Right.
The hard part is just sort of like accounting for everything that could happen in the world,
Sure, yeah, naturally.
Or like, you saw like those, like that situation in Chinatown, for example, like it isn't really that there was an issue with the perception system or anything. It's just that like the planning and control for how to deal with so many agents moving around just stumped it, right? Because it's trying to predict what all these agents are going to do, and if any one agent in the scene, it predicts it could have a path that goes with ours, then it has to stop. So it basically got stuck, and then you saw those, like that car. What the hell are people doing? Come on.
Go.
Anyway, yeah, you saw like it, just getting stuck behind a stopped car, and then it's like bumper to bumper traffic. It's hard to sort of move around.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff where it's like, okay, it's more just not having the maneuvers to be able to handle these situations.
Got it, right.
More than, not being able to detect something or...
Sure. So it's fine at gathering all the information it might need, but it's still got to work out how to manipulate all that information to then maneuver itself.
Yeah, and a lot of the sort of planning and control has just been procedural code, right? Like C++ heuristics.
Right.
Like, neural nets are sort of eating more and more of the stack over time, but a lot of the planning and control and navigation is just sort of like C++.
Right, okay, so kind of hard-coded in a way, right?
Right, and so the next version, they're moving some more of that into neural nets. Right now, neural nets are handling a lot of the sort of perception.
Yeah.
And actually, the way the lanes connect together is handled by an LLM.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way.
So they have
already?
So they have this thing called like the language of lanes.
Okay.
And it basically describes all the lanes and how they connect to each other and that sort of thing in order to sort of predict what lanes might emerge next. Because at first they just had this sort of image space prediction of lanes and connectivity.
Okay.
But it really sort of didn't do them well because lanes can change and they're so complicated.
Right.
All that stuff like this. It's a right turn lane, but it's also a straight lane and it's also a carpool lane.
Yep.
So figuring out like what lane you should be in, what lane is going to actually take you to where you need to go, and what lane isn't is really complicated. So they're like, oh, an LLM would actually be good for this because it can sort of capture that intuition that humans have. Like the way we know, okay, this looks like it's going to become a right turn lane or something.
Sure, yeah. That point on intuition is just so important when it comes to driving, right?
Right. All right, so... Whoa.
Didn't like that.
That was interesting.
He was quite confident then.
Alright, so now we got the roundabout coming up there.
Okay, cool. So this is the rail test, right?
Yeah, we don't have many roundabouts here. We have some down near Stanford.
Right, yeah. In the UK, there's some double roundabouts, which is like 2 roundabouts.
Yeah, I've seen some of the crazy fucking roundabouts you guys have. It's like, what the fuck? A roundabout and a roundabout and a roundabout.
Yep. Even humans suck at those.
Alright. Okay, whoa. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it did it.
Yeah, it did it, right?
Waited for the other guy.
Which autopilot just does not do at all. So
yeah.
Even if it's not perfect, just having some handling of roundabouts is going to be a big improvement.
Oh, for sure.
And then they can keep testing it, and people say, it doesn't work here, and they can get the data back, make it better, and then before you know it, there we go.
Yeah, always plugging the holes. It's like whack-a-mole.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you think there's any value in having 2 nearby, or multiple nearby FSD-enabled vehicles communicating in terms of their like immediate decision making?
Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't know if that's open to hacking.
One obvious sort of thing you could do is just sort of like upload the data that feeds this perception system up to like a server, and you can imagine like if you had like, what's the combination of like this for every car in the road? It's like a real-time map of the world, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is interesting. Look, we got a cab here.
Okay, is it going to go around it? Does it know that it's a cab? Yeah. Oh, wow. So how did it know that it was stopped and not waiting for something versus like being actually stopped?
I don't know.
Did it like see in front of it and notice there's nothing there, or?
You know, it's funny, in the early days it used to be wrong a lot more. So sometimes you'd be just standing in a line of traffic and it'd be like, hey, let's go around everyone. And you'd be like, what the fuck? And then sometimes you'd have to go around and it just wouldn't go around and you'd be like, what the fuck? So now it's like a lot more. So, you know, I guess it's like a lot of heuristics really that sort of make it up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try and go to this really pedestrian area here.
Give it a challenge.
Yeah, if it's open. It's been closed, but if it's open, then it's a really interesting sort of like test area because you have people and bikes walking alongside the cars.
Yeah. But yeah, handled the roundabout pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say it's redeemed itself a little bit since Chinatown.
Oh yeah, Chinatown.
But I like that we started with that, so you can see.
Yeah.
Like what the stress is first,
for sure,
and then
yeah. Well, no, I want to.
this is a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here you got like wide open roads.
Yeah.
A lot of gap between people. So this is the kind of situation it handles much better. And as a user, you're just sort of turning it on in the places where it can work well, and
sure,
just driving yourself in the places it still can't handle.
Yeah. I mean, like, even if supposing Cruise or Waymo go down to Chinatown with the LiDAR.
Have you tried the Cruise, by the way?
I haven't. No, I've spotted.
If you're going to be here after 10, we can go for a ride.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got access to their beta program, driverless.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So obviously they're LiDAR enabled, right?
Yeah.
So would that help in Chinatown, or is it more to do? Is it less to do with how it perceives the environment, and more to do with the decision making?
Well, they don't operate in Chinatown.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, regardless of your perception system, I mean, a LiDAR could help somewhat, but regardless of your perception system, it's just a tough planning and control problem. And
right.
I haven't seen how they're doing in Chinatown. They may handle a little better than Tesla, I'm not sure. But with this, you just sort of, have to err on the side of caution. So if you have to fall back on the human, it's sort of like, okay, the main thing is, like, don't run over anyone,
Yeah, of course, that's the like Asimov's laws of robotics.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see once they sort of open in that area. But what Cruise has is they only function from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So
okay, when there's less pedestrians? Or?
There's just less
stuff.
Everything. There's less of everything, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then the other thing is they only operate in a certain area, and they sort of exclude all the densest parts of the city.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but what that really shows is you can actually launch a driverless service with today's technology if you just limit the scope.
Yeah.
You know? That's all you have to do, really.
Sure, but that's not Tesla's goal.
Yeah, I mean, they want to build something that people can just sort of use wherever. It's definitely, like, two very different approaches, but from a business case,
right,
the robo-taxi thing's very hard to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's see if this is going to be open or not. Otherwise I might have to disengage. Oh yeah. Okay. It's closed.
Does it stop? I see. Oh yes, notice the cones.
Okay, let's go. Take me to Presidio Golf Course.
I like the voice thing. I know it's like.
Take me to Legion of Honor. Yeah, so it's it's pretty fun. You can just sort of tour around.
100%.
Like, this is going to be the product that people have. They have a little car that they get into that's like a computer. They're going to actually be running all kinds of software on it, just like their phone. Because they won't be driving, so they're going to be playing games, watching movies,
right?
Maybe doing productivity applications. They just added Zoom to the Teslas.
Really?
Yeah, so you're basically just going to get in your car. It'll be like another computing device you have, and you'll say, take me where you want to go, or you'll have some application, like maybe you order from the store or something, and say, okay, pick this up, and then the car can drive there. So you have different software applications and just the navigation system telling the car where to go, and the person just sits there. They enjoy. They have a great sound system, great screen.
Sure. Yeah.
Everyone's gonna want that user experience, and you'll probably just be able to order a car if you don't own one.
So what level of confidence or I guess autonomy level does it need to be before that's possible? Because at that point, I guess if people are doing other tasks, then it's not like they're there as a backup to catch it when it goes wrong, right? So if we eliminate,
that'd be like level 4, level 5.
Level 4,
but
right? Okay.
I mean, I'd just call it driverless.
Sure, like true drivers.
Yeah. Like at that point, the car would be able to function without a person in it.
Right.
For people to be able to take their attention off. So you can see we're driving straight into the sun.
Yeah.
On a cliff. And there's a guardrail, but and the car's able to handle it. It's not getting too close.
Yeah.
There's pedestrians, cyclists. It sees them all.
Yeah.
It even sees these people on the other side of the guardrail.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel completely safe.
Check out the ocean.
Wow, what a view.
Yeah. That's pretty nice. That's what I love about FSDs. You don't have to just stare at the lane lines. You can actually enjoy the view.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I feel completely safe.
Yeah, and it's just computer vision.
Yep.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Running on just a little tiny computer in the glove box.
I think we should rename glove boxes, because I don't know anyone that keeps gloves in them.
True.
Computer boxes in this case. So.
Yeah, that's what it is now, I guess.
Yeah.
And what's even more amazing is it's keeping distance to the car in front using just vision.
Right.
No radar, nothing.
No radar.
Just purely by looking at it, it's it's estimating how far away the car is.
Sure.
And even with sunlight occlusion and all this other stuff, it's able to do it somehow.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, I didn't even think that was possible with computer vision, right?
Sure.
They really sort of have stretched my imagination for what computer vision can do.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see how, because obviously with LLMs taking off the way they are, and that's obviously my personal interest.
Right.
I didn't realize they were already using it.
Yeah.
Like you just said with the lane, language of lanes.
Right.
I imagine it's going to be.
Yeah, I'll send you the clip where they talk about it at their AI day. But yeah, they're already using LLMs for that, and I mean, that's only sort of the beginning. I can imagine you'd need an LLM to actually interface with the passengers, right?
In what way?
Like, hey, stop, or oh, you passed it, or okay, get out of here, that kind of thing.
Conversationally,
or yeah, like the passengers basically need a voice interface into it, and it needs to be super accurate in understanding them, and probably needs to handle most languages that are spoken around the world, right?
Sure, yeah.
And even just like, okay, well, we want to go get dinner. Okay, well, what are you looking for? Something, lively. There's a lot of people. We're in the mood for Italian.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And then, just even right now, when I have to pay attention, I think there's a huge opportunity for sort of like voice assistants or voice user interfaces, because right now I'm not supposed to be using a screen or a device. Right. While it's in this sort of intermittent phase where it's not ready for driverless yet.
Yeah.
And then even other things just sort of in the driving task, like, for example, reading signs. Because signs are different all over the world.
Yeah.
There's, a million different ways to say the same thing. So you actually have to able to read tour buses and vans and say, okay, this sign actually doesn't apply to me.
Okay, I see the level you mean now. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, speed humps ahead.
Yeah.
That's something it should be able to read.
Yeah.
And plan for. So it starts slowing down. It doesn't have to wait to detect the speed hump.
Yeah.
It actually had an LLM that processed the sign and figured that out.
Gotcha.
And think about every city in the world has slightly different wording on their signs.
Sure.
In all these different languages. You got Canada where they got French signs and English signs and all this stuff. So it's like, shit, this is actually, gets into pretty deep stuff.
Absolutely. And you can't even just like enumerate them all, because like there may be new ones that come along, or even like an individual may put up their own private sign.
Yeah.
Right, that might not be one that Tesla has registered or seen before, but that gives some information that the vehicle needs to know. So yeah, the LLMs, I guess, provide that kind of dynamic understanding.
Right, and then they've got this sort of humanoid robot they're working on too, and that's going to have an even greater need for LLMs. Like,
sure, yeah.
I imagine voice would probably be one of the primary interfaces with that that bot.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, it gets pretty crazy quick, and it's sort of interesting to see like the AI community here, and they've sort of got, you can see they all kind of like know each other, and they've all sort of got ties together. Like, even yesterday at the Scale event, you could see like, people from Tesla there. They're all sort of like friends with each other. Even like,
even competitors.
Yeah. And you know, Tesla actually used to use Scale for labeling, but then they moved their labeling in-house.
Okay.
Now they actually do their labeling in-house. They have their own labeling tools. But
wow. Okay.
a lot of people are probably going to need what, you know, products like what Scale has to
for sure.
try and match Tesla. But you could tell, like, you know, Scale, OpenAI, Tesla, like, I think Alexander Wang, the CEO of Scale, used to be roommates with Sam Altman, actually.
No way.
Yeah.
I see what you mean about them all being friends.
Yeah, like, it's sort of a very small community in a way, and, like,
sure.
you know, it's funny also how Karpathy was, like, such a celebrity there. Like, it's probably one of the, you know,
hilarious.
one rooms, and yeah, I just thought that was a great event also. I mean, I just love sort of, you know, people getting together on a Saturday and just hacking on, like, generative AI, large language model stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, that's like quintessential Silicon Valley. That's the one thing this place really has going for it, is events like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had to come, you know, thousands of miles to find something like this usually. So you can't find it in the UK.
How are you doing on time, or?
I don't have any commitments, but obviously I, you know, don't want to take any more of your time. So I mean, whenever you're.
Okay, yeah, we could do a couple more things. Let me think what might be interesting. The sun's also going to go down too, so.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see.
My place is back in, like, near the Tenderloin, so.
Okay, yeah, maybe we could go there, yeah.
And there, if that's okay.
You want to type in the address or something?
Yeah, it's, I think, Market Street.
Yeah, Market Street's a big street.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, where are we? Haven't really learnt the local geography yet very well. To be honest, anywhere around here is fine.
Alright, let's go to,
do you know where Mission Street is? That's pretty big as well.
Yeah, that's over here. Alright, so let's go to...
Oh, I don't think I'm far from the Salesforce Tower, actually. I think I'm about 10 minutes from there, so yeah, that'll do. Should we just go to the Salesforce Tower?
Okay, yeah, let's go over there.
Yeah.
Alright.
Is that okay? Does that fit in with your plans?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm not doing anything.
Alright, cool. Nice.
Alright, so we got a left here. Someone's making a turn across the crosswalk. See that?
Oh, yeah.
He goes,
so
we need to go over there. So let's wait for him to cross.
So he turned blue?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Pretty impressive, right?
Yeah. I thought it was just vehicles that change colour depending on what you're waiting for. Okay, so inevitably if it's vision, what about when it gets dark?
Oh, it works fine when it's dark.
Is it different? Does it behave different? Is it better in the daytime? Or?
Well, it actually is better because there's less people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is the kind of the counterintuitive thing, right?
I see. Okay.
So you think at the beginning, like, okay, yeah, like darkness, that kind of stuff. And I mean, you know, it does affect the perception system somewhat, but the benefit from not having as many agents in the scene is definitely better.
Sure.
And it can handle the low light very well. Obviously it has headlights, so
oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And actually, you know, I've had dark rain, like a lot of water coming in the last few weeks, and it's been pretty impressive. Like I was like, wow, because in the beginning its performance significantly degraded in the rain.
Right.
But now it's actually very reliable even in the rain. So I was like, wow, they've really improved that. That was impressive. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So like on the perception front, they've definitely, I think, blown me away and blown most people who understand this stuff away, and how good they've been able to get the perception to work. Like we'll actually probably see the sun go down during this drive. Okay. Because it looks like we're about 30 minutes away.
Sure.
So yeah, you'll see how it functions when the light goes out.
Cool. I wonder if because obviously with like the rise of computational photography, like low light on like mobile over the last like 5 years has just got way better.
Right.
I wonder how much they leverage that.
Yeah, you know, I think they do have like a hardware image signal processor on the car. So what they were doing originally is like running the cameras through the hardware ISP, and that would give them like a lightened image that was really sort of good. And then they sort of like abandoned that actually. And the benefit of the hardware ISP obviously was they didn't have to do that stuff in software. They could just pass it right through and then run inference on it. But then they realized, like, let's actually just abandon the ISP completely and just train the so this is like kind of one of the annoying things. If you sort of get stuck behind someone, I'd probably go around, but
sure
it's a little too timid to do that. But yeah, so then they just sort of said, okay, let's actually just train on the raw pre-processed data that's coming out of the cameras.
Okay.
Because they said it turns out that there's actually some
nuance
like
there, or?
There's some sort of filtering on the data that comes out of the cameras before it's sort of presented to the computer.
Right.
Because they want to sort of optimize it for the things that humans can see. But then they realized, okay, well, the neural nets we're training aren't human, so they can possibly pick up things in the signal from the camera that like humans couldn't pick up.
Right.
So let's use the sort of human image for labeling, but let's also sort of take the raw data and train on that, and then run inference on sort of the raw data. Elon says like the raw photon count.
Okay.
It's basically just the raw stuff from the camera, and I think basically like it's just like a 3-bit versus 4-bit or something like that. It's like an extra bit or something like that.
Yeah.
That you get if you just sort of read it raw. So they've started moving some of the neural nets to that, while others are still just on the processed image. And some of the neural nets like on the highway are still running on like a single image prediction. But most of this stuff that you're seeing now is running on 4D video. So they actually will synthesize all of the 8 cameras on the car. Interesting.
A cyclist in the way.
Yeah. The cyclist sort of slowing it down.
Yeah.
Now it might make a right turn.
It looked like it was thinking of going around it until it realised it didn't, and then it pulled back in, which makes sense.
Now it wants to make a right turn even though it's not supposed to, so this will be interesting.
Oh wow.
Maybe it just thinks like that might be the easiest thing rather than trying to go around this. Or...
Okay.
It's a little bit of a mystery, but I'll just let it go the wrong way.
Yeah. Maybe it has a big plan.
Yeah, maybe it does.
So what classification level autonomy is it currently? Is it 2?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a like supervised driver, then you would probably call it level 2. But some of the critics of Tesla actually say it's level 4, because they say
the critics say it's level 4.
Some of the critics say it's level 4 because they say they're just calling it level 2 because then they don't have to abide by any regulations.
Oh, I see.
Because they're saying, oh, well, there's a person behind the seat.
Right.
So, same laws as any other cruise control, any other level 2 system. No need to do anything special. But he's saying this is actually a level 4 intent system.
Right.
Because the intent is... Oh, here's another roundabout.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Just our luck.
Nice.
So let's see how it does.
Maybe that was the grand plan we talked about.
Oh, so that was interesting. It sort of freaked out about those people.
Okay.
Alright. Any day now.
So the actual going around the roundabout was fine, but there was something that happened before then that it did not like.
Yeah, I think it was just watching the pedestrians and the other cars to make sure they weren't going to enter the roundabout. So I think it could have detected a little bit earlier that car didn't want to enter the roundabout.
Right, yeah. That was.
But that's just more, data it needs to build that margin where it's confident enough to say that.
Absolutely. It should be pretty easy.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a lot of obstacles ahead.
Yeah. Does your dad's Model S also have a...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it works just the same. I've tried it on a bunch of different Teslas. My 2018 Model 3, this 2020, Model S, Model X, Model Y.
Yeah.
Works the same on all the cars. So they have an abstraction system that that makes it abstract away all the differences from the perspective of the software. So, like, I don't know how exactly they do it, but rather than saying like press the accelerator or press the brake, they say like move this amount of distance in this amount of time, and a sort of per model subsystem will translate that into the right acceleration and braking and comfort and everything needed or something. I'm not exactly sure. I probably explained that wrong.
No, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
They've tried to sort of abstract it from the software and make it so it can even adapt to other future vehicles. And obviously you want it to be generalizable to even third-party vehicles.
Right. Yes, because I suppose with like something like the Semi, I don't know if that has FSD or will have FSD. I assume it will. I guess the acceleration and braking characteristics of that vehicle are massively different to this one. Yeah,
well, I imagine there's a lot of work involved in adapting it for sort of commercial use.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, essentially you have this system which already today can sort of drive you around pretty well using just computer vision. And you know, some people would say, oh well, it shouldn't be released until it can handle everything, until it can handle Chinatown maybe. But then you realize that like 99% is still really useful for a lot of things, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So to me it's a little bit silly to say, okay, well, you can't let anyone use it until it's 100%.
Also, people using it is what generates data that helps it get better, right?
That's the thing people don't understand is like the only way to get it to 100% is by getting that data out there, finding the places it fails.
Yep. Also,
this is pretty crazy too.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. Also, if I'm not mistaken, the safety stats that they released, the most recent ones, right, within the last few weeks, again had like self-driving mode be 4 times fewer crashes per 100,000 miles than not self-driving, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's sort of easy. I mean, granted, it's sort of like self-driving supervised by humans.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
When you have the human and computer together, they really outperform either. But I think the key is like it's a much safer mode of driving. For example, it won't let it enable if I don't have my seatbelt on.
Yeah.
And it won't let it won't, you know, it'll stop me from using my phone, for example. And it'll go within a reasonable level of the speed limit. And it's just very cautious, right? Whereas I'm like very aggressive in the way I drive. It's very cautious, right?
Okay. Yeah. So I suppose they could, is that like a dial that is controllable by Tesla? Like, could they make it more aggressive at the risk of potentially
I mean, you have an option. Assertive, average, or chill.
Okay.
So you can actually pick. So I told it drive as aggressive as you can.
Yeah. But even then, it's still fairly timid, right?
So that was pretty amazing, I think. What it did there.
For sure.
Made its way all the way across the street.
With all that traffic going on?
Yeah. Now changed into dark mode for night.
Is it sunset now?
I guess so.
Cool. Yeah, nice. So why did you get the Model 3 over the Model Y?
Well, the Model Y didn't exist when I bought my car. But I might get a Model Y next time, but I like the sedan. It's fast.
Sure.
Look at that. There's an ad for GitHub. That's the other thing about Silicon Valley is like you see ads for cloud services in GitHub.
Yeah. Nowhere else. Actually, in the part of London I live, it's sort of like the closest part of London to that. And we do on like the tube, and we have adverts for like DigitalOcean and things like that.
What part of London do you live in?
It's an area called Shoreditch.
Oh yeah, I've been there before.
You've been there?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's like obviously it's not quite like Silicon Valley, but it's like the closest equivalent we have. And that's where we run our startup from.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I love London. London's great.
You've been a few times?
Much better than this city. Yeah, I've been a few times. I have some relatives who live outside of London too.
Okay, nice.
And then I went for like when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends was like doing a foreign exchange,
Mm-hmm.
and I went there for a while too. I was in Europe for
Right.
a little bit, traveling around, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's pretty good over there.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's interesting you say London's a lot better because, like, in many ways, yes, but coming here, there's a lot of things that have opened my eyes to how great this city is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the obvious problem.
I mean, the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's just sort of like.
I love London. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just beautiful. There's so much history.
Yep.
And I mean, Europe is just so interesting. Everything's so old compared to here.
Yeah.
Everything here is like we just built it, right?
I love it when, like, my friend, like, I had a friend who lives, I think, out in the Midwest. He says, "Yeah, I live in a really old house. It's like 120 years old." I was
Right,
like,
yeah.
I've not lived in a house younger than that in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, by hundreds of years. Like, sometimes thousands of years. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also just amazing if you think about, you know, like, just how much influence the UK has had on the world, right?
Yeah. It's
Like the British Empire, and if you think about really, like, you know, how am I even here?
Sure.
Like, my dad went to a British school in India, which used to be a UK colony. He learned English.
Sure.
And that probably prepared him, you know, to come here, come to school here. And, you know, he sort of, you know, knew how to do that. So it's all part of the history of like the British Empire and how that all worked out.
Yeah. I mean, for better or for worse, it definitely shaped what we have today. I mean,
I think we sort of have a different view on it now.
Sure.
But back then it was like, you know, they saw it as like science. We're actually we're exploring the world, we're learning.
yeah.
They didn't know things back then, right?
Yep.
And they said, okay, we have like a lot of stuff to bring. We have a lot of stuff to learn.
And trade.
Yeah. So, you know, hindsight's sort of 2020.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's history. That's how the world became the way it is. And you can still travel all over the world and speak English.
Oh, yeah.
All the airport signs, everything.
I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah.
The thing is, in Europe, like, all the other European countries make fun of us English for not being able to speak their languages. And it's true, we suck at speaking their languages, but it's probably because we just don't have to. Like, we can just go there and speak English and we'll be fine.
Exactly. I mean, here in America, nobody speaks anything.
Bit of Spanish, maybe?
A little bit of Spanish, maybe. They teach Spanish in school,
Sure.
but even then, you know,
Yeah.
it's sort of a joke.
Yes, it's same in the UK. Like our default is still in French, but nobody knows how to speak French. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how FSC handles London driving because London's pretty hectic.
Well, it'll definitely be a step forward from autopilot, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how well it can really do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the taxi drivers in London are crazy. They'll do like U-turns in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Like.
And they're really good too, right?
Yeah.
Like the black cabs, they have like the knowledge.
Yeah, they have to do like 2 years of studying or something, then pass like some. I might be wrong on this, but they have to do some very like difficult.
Now that's
testing.
a high bar for an LLM.
Yeah, yeah. So they have to know everything. Like even the most like unknown little park on the other side of London, they just have to go to it.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like having a high quality mapping service directly in their head.
But yeah, you can see like some of these streets are kind of crazy, like going this way and that way, and it's able to navigate it.
Yeah,
so
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super exciting because, okay, yeah, the US is one thing, but there's other self-driving car companies that are in the US. But once we really get this into multiple countries, into Europe, into Asia, then it's like, okay, now we've really got something global.
Sure.
And that's something that nobody else is doing.
Also, how close are Waymo and Cruise actually shipping like something that can be included in a consumer vehicle, right? Because obviously at the moment they still have, they're great, I'm not knocking them, but like they have, I mean there's one right now, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to want to buy something.
And look at that thing spinning, just like
it looks silly.
how much power it uses.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think
the aero drag, like, and then you got to have the car on a battery, so that means it's reducing the range. I mean, yeah, I think Cruise said they're gonna try and do it in like within 2 to 3 years. They're gonna try and make like a standalone car you can buy with their technology, but
right. Is Cruise owned by Ford? Is that right?
Well, they were actually a Y Combinator startup.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't. I should know that.
Yeah, Cruise was a Y Combinator startup. So Kyle was he was from Twitch.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to. He left. He did Cruise, and then now General Motors actually. Like, it was actually right after they graduated from Y Combinator.
Yeah.
Like, when you would normally get, like, VC funding or whatever, they just, I think GM took a majority stake, and
really?
Now they've actually increased their stake a little bit. It was like, there were some other partners too. Like, I think maybe SoftBank or some others. They actually, GM has actually tried to buy them out.
Oh, wow.
So now I think they own, like, 80% of Cruise.
Oh, okay. Now you mention it, I do remember when Michael was talking about Twitch, I think he mentioned that Carl went to and did Cruise.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know Michael Seibel?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I mean, I know of him.
I know of it, yeah. He's our partner. And
oh, nice.
And when we tell people that, they say that's great, because he literally won't let you fail. Like, he doesn't give you permission to fail. And he's been great so far.
Yeah, Y Combinator's,
yeah,
priceless.
Oh, 100%. I mean, before we got into YC, we talked to maybe 40 or 50 other VCs, mostly European.
Right.
And like, you'd have like 2 or 3 hour calls with them, and they wouldn't really push you that much or challenge you that much. I mean, they would, but it was sort of just because it felt like they were going through the motions of what they felt they had to do. The moment when we got into our YC interview, 7 minutes in, Michael had already like made us realize that what we were doing was completely wrong. And we pivoted.
How so?
There.
What were you doing wrong, and what did he say?
Yeah, sure. So when we applied to YC, we actually applied on a completely different premise. We applied, basically the thinking was, everyone has their app idea, but not everyone can bring their app idea to life. So using LLMs, why don't we allow people to describe what they want to make in natural language, and then it goes ahead and generates not only the mobile app, but also the back end and all the infrastructure around it. And
that may have been a little too ambitious
it
was
extremely ambitious, and we had the tech actually wasn't too bad. It like especially the front end, we actually got some stuff pretty close to working. In terms of how good it looked like terrible UI, but we were confident we could iterate on that. The back end was actually a little bit easier, the infrastructure and whatever, but that wasn't actually the problem. Michael and the others actually, Tom Blomfield, who founded Monzo, and Richard Aberman, they basically, the point they were making was like, there's some great tech here, but like, we don't think that there's no commercial path for this.
Yeah.
Especially because
not in the near future.
Not in the near future, and also like, even if someone does have an app idea and they generate your app, how are you like creating a recurring customer there? Because they've got their app, and unless they need maintenance done on it or new features added, then nobody's going to pay X per month for this service. But they said, look, we think like your understanding of how you take natural language and generate code, and I guess understand code is really good. So could you maybe turn this into something like a developer tool?
Yeah.
And we thought about it, and we're like that makes so much sense. Like, so that, and that's what we're doing now, which is why and it was on that sort of understanding that if we were to pivot into this much more realistic product, we would qualify for YC, and that was that. And so now we've had great success with Built so far. Well, we've only just got started really, but yeah. But it's because of Michael really that we like had that epiphany moment. So
yes, I think there's clearly a lot of unexplored surface here. GitHub Copilot just sort of scratched the surface of what's possible.
Sure.
But there's clearly a lot more. Like, clearly LLM should be deeply integrated into the development process at every stage.
Yep. It's funny you should say that. I mean, like, we use GitHub Copilot like actually to help us write our code, and I guess one of the USPs of Built is that, like, whereas Copilot has, I guess, a loose contextual understanding of your code base, it doesn't have like a full understanding, which means that if you were to ask it to create new features, it can't go ahead and do that in a project-wide sense, whereas ours can. But I was talking to someone at the hackathon yesterday, and they were saying that maybe there's a space for, rather than using LLMs as an almost translation layer for taking what the human intent is into writing traditional programming languages like Python, but maybe you could skip that and go directly from human intent using an LLM directly to whatever the lowest level you feel is necessary.
Like machine code?
Not necessarily machine code, but like maybe like assembly or C or something, like quite low level. And then you sort of, because there may be some intent lost as you go through multiple layers.
I wonder if it's just sort of one of those things where it needs more space to think. Like,
yeah,
you know how you've seen those things like, let's think about this step by step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a great prompt. Yeah. Actually, funnily enough, Riley Goodside talked about that in his advanced prompt engineering workshop yesterday.
Right.
Exactly that concept. But it's interesting.
Pretty epic, yeah.
Yeah,
prompt engineering, right? So, I mean, it kind of makes me think about this because you have to, like, this is a self-driving system, but you really need to know how to be a good user of it.
Right.
Like right now, for example, I said, hey, change lanes, because I saw this sort of upcoming obstacle before it did, right?
Yeah.
And so it still sort of failed to get in the lane, but it's
I think
trying.
that's mostly because the other guys didn't let you in.
Yeah, but it's trying.
It's trying, yeah.
So let's see what it does. Hopefully this isn't what finally breaks it, because it's been doing good so far. I think it's just gonna wait.
Yeah, looks like it's not confident enough for the...
Well, there's just people coming.
Yeah.
Once there's nobody coming, it'll go.
Sure.
But yeah, so like, same thing with like this. Oh my god, idiots. I always get mad at the other people instead of the software. Okay, yeah, so finally everybody's gone.
And then it goes.
Now we can go around this
guy.
guy. And you know, I could have, like, normally I would have just taken over,
yeah,
right?
But for the demo purposes, then,
exactly.
I prefer to just see how it thinks. Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely.
Yeah. But, so, it's like I'm kind of prompt engineering in a way, right?
Yeah.
Not like I'm giving it input, right?
Yeah.
So,
it's assisted.
To the person who knows how to, you know, cast the magic spells or knows how the model works and understands it, knows how to use it to their advantage, they can get some really beautiful results out of it.
Yeah.
But just sort of raw, it, you know, sometimes gets in those situations in Chinatown where it just gets stuck. So there's something sort of really interesting there where, like, you know, knowing how to use the model, or like the model can, like the large language models and image generation models and stuff can actually do a lot of things if you know how to ask them, right?
Yeah.
And they're not always sort of good at figuring out what you want, but if you explain it to them in the right way, they can really sort of blow you away with what they're capable of already.
Sure.
So it's kind of interesting, just the whole idea of a prompt engineer. Like maybe that's going to be something that, you know, you really have to have an expertise in how the model works and how to get the results you want out of it, because someone who knows how to use these models, it's like a superpower.
Well, it's funny because you'd have thought that the people that are like behind the models are the ones who know how to prompt engineer the best, but actually, I mean, at Scale AI, I don't know if you know Riley Goodside. He's the staff prompt engineer.
I follow
there.
him, yeah.
Sure, yeah. He's the staff prompt engineer there, and he's like the wizard, right? Like he knows how to whisper it better than anyone else. And as we were talking about earlier about it, like they're all like communicating with each other, but he doesn't work at OpenAI, and yet he knows how to prompt engineer better than any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really crazy techniques. Like,
yeah, sometimes you need to be outside of it a little bit, maybe, to
that's true.
approach it with a fresh perspective.
That's true. That's very true.
Like, I know they've talked about sort of a lot of these sort of behaviors or just things they couldn't have really even imagined. Both in the FSD side and in the LLM side, like, you know, you just sort of train it to predict the next character or do something very simple, some very simple objective, and you're just sort of amazed with what it comes up with to be able to do that.
Yeah. For sure. It's been doing pretty good lately. This guy.
I mean, it works.
Yeah.
It kind of works, you know?
Yeah.
It's not 100% there, but
sure, no, but nobody's pretending that, right?
Within a couple years, they got it. And they got new hardware coming. They got the new Dojo training supercomputer coming.
Yeah.
I'm super optimistic. I think this 12 months is going to be pivotal.
Absolutely.
And I think they have a good shot at launching in Europe and Asia. Like, it's starting to work okay here.
I'd imagine that surely, I mean, I'm quite ignorant on this subject, but I would have thought the regulation in launching in Asia would be looser. Would it be easier to launch there?
Well,
or maybe
yeah.
not, like places like
It's just different.
Right.
It's more adventurous and more scientific.
Okay.
But also more authoritarian, you know? Well, in China specifically.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest EV market where Tesla sells a lot of them.
Sure.
And, you know, I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, once this starts getting out into the streets, I think a lot of governments are going to say, like, okay, we need this. It's actually not, it's going to put us at a competitive disadvantage.
Sure.
If we don't have it.
Especially as the safety numbers start dropping.
Right,
right. Or I guess increasing.
Yeah.
Accidents start dropping.
Yeah, like, if you can see, okay, in the US, numbers are actually starting to go down on crashes because they're using this technology.
Yeah.
And we're not allowing the technology, it starts to become like, okay, how is that conscionable?
Yeah, yeah. Because that decision is actively dangerous, right? To not embrace it.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, here we're in, you know, downtown SF again.
Yeah.
Right by Chinatown.
Lots of people.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say it's because it feels pretty smooth when it comes to stop, pretty human-like. Was it like not very good at that to begin with? Has it like got better at that?
Oh my god, I would have a headache when I got out of the car.
Really?
Sometimes the way it was like stopping all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would like, you know, it used to be much worse. The comfort's definitely improved. It's not it's not 100% there. It's still uncomfortable at times, but massive improvement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of that just comes from the vision system getting better. As you sort of have more confidence in what you're seeing, you can control a lot more smoothly. Yeah. Because you know for certain, okay, that car's actually over there, it's not over here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you can see now it's getting pretty dark. Hasn't changed though.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty good. I mean,
actually, the sun going down is more challenging than the sun down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
of the light.
Yeah, the light can blind the cameras. I mean, just like it can blind us, right? It can blind the cameras.
Sure.
All right, so now we got to slip into this right turn lane. Looks like it's a little confused. Oh, what did you do? So you can see like the little blue line. I think it thinks it's a little too tight. It feels a little bit uncomfortable, but once this guy moves,
it'll probably
then it's gonna go. Yeah, see, there you go. Oh.
Maybe it's just happy to turn in this lane.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was right.
Yeah, you did it. Oh, good.
There you go.
I was gonna
didn't even have to touch it.
Yeah. I was gonna tell it to change lanes, but it did itself. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's trying to get over so it can turn onto Mission Street.
I guess we're nearly there. Yeah, where I'm originally from in the UK is very rural, and at night it's actually much easier to drive because obviously everyone has lights on, so you can see from like if you're going down a lane that's really long and windy. In the day, you don't necessarily know someone's coming towards you.
Yeah, I mean, rural should be totally possible for computer vision to handle.
Yeah, because you don't got all the complexity and noise and mess.
I don't know if this vision system is trained for it already.
Right.
But theoretically, you should be able to train a vision system for rural pretty easily.
Yeah.
Because this is the toughest thing, is just handling everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, there's different types of noise out in the rural side. Like where I'm from, you might have like a massive, like a farmer might be moving 40 sheep down like a main road, like an A road, from one field to another. I don't know how is it just going to follow it? I don't know. Like, there's some weird edge cases there.
So what do you think overall?
I mean, yeah, it's
pretty fucking insane, right?
It's pretty. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of expecting it to be pretty fucking insane because I've obviously
seen videos
on Twitter. I guess where it's slightly missing it, I can see that now. But overall, totally acceptable mistakes.
Yeah.
And from like, I think people think that diminishes from the overall value more than it should, because overall it's been 99% perfect. Right. And that's a really high bar. Like even humans aren't 100% perfect, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Really blown away.
Yeah, and I mean, in 12 months, I think this is going to look like a complete piece of shit compared to what we have.
Sure. No, this is great.
So where do you want to get dropped off?
Oh, wherever's most convenient for you, man. I mean,